Hey guys, sup? How we doing? Another day, another stream. What are we gonna do today? Let me think. We have the rings we want. I don't think there's anything I would like different here. Gloves could get upgraded. This is like the one thing that could get upgraded. Have better gloves. What else? Leviathan gloves, good res, more strength from the essence. Maybe I just spam chaos res until strength. We'll see which one has higher weight. In any case, it'd be essence on would resolve suffixes and then prefixes. But like then we have to worry about implicits. Now, aside those upgrades, what else can we do? I mean, in the ideal universe, I actually will be able to not use resistance catalysts, and I'd be able to use like attributes. At least for this guy. But we're too close to 77, so if we can guarantee we get like T1 res, chaos res, then you know, and then we get like a few points ahead, maybe. Doesn't matter too much. Something else we also need to do is level up, and then past that, in terms of jewels, what can we do? Are there any upgrades to be had? Rational Doctrine and FNF, not really. We can get CB immunity on the jewel. On the jewel that replaces this guy. Or no, Fortress Covenant rather. Yes, CB immunity there. Maybe that allows me to drop the bleeding flask because I do still have. Oh, that does remind me about something. I'm supposed to replace this with cast when damage taken. Okay, let's go to town and see. I don't think I'm lagging to this. Let's take that text off because yesterday my internet just gave out and didn't let me do shit. Level 69 or lower. What are you? Level 70. So this needs to level up at least one more time before I can actually use it. Yeah, we don't have +1 all or anything like that. So yeah, all right. We have a video to react to, courtesy Arcane. So I'm going to be looking at that. It is about PoE2 and towers.
Hello mate, welcome back to the channel.
So let's see what this is about.
It's me, Silver. I'm alive and well. Thank you for those of you that have been asking. At the end of this video, I will get into why I've taken such a break. The reason I'm back is obvious, right? It's like a super exciting time to be an action RPG player. Right now, we've got.
I can't wait for the what's it called? I can't wait for the April, basically. This is the age well.
Obviously, we've got 0.2 early access for PoE2 patch coming up. We're going to get a whole economy reset, as you well know. Now, this video, why you're here, is all about reimagining the end game. So I'm calling it reimagining, right? Because
meanwhile, the minions just in the background making some insane noise.
That have changed in PoE2. We've all now got a feel for it. We've got a feel for what they're trying to do there. And there's a lot to discuss there. I have my own ideas, and as you know, if you are familiar with this channel, I don't like to just talk about them. I like to also try and present them in a way that's kind of visual and digestible and kind of in the UI sort of design of PoE2. too. That's what we're going to do today. We're going to be talking about towers, we're going to be talking about tablets, we're going to be talking about a reimagining of the Atlas tree and how the extra content can kind of work, but also the way that we progress in that content and can customize it. And then we're also going to do like a little bit of a bonus kind of theory thing, which is inspired by the legacy of Phrecia. So if you've been playing PoE 1, stick around for that, because I'd be really curious to hear your thoughts on it. I think it's interesting. We will see. So without further ado, let's just get into the video. So the way this is going to go, I'm going to break things down into kind of like the problem and the area of the design, and then what I think the solution kind of is. So let's just start really nice and light with this one, and that is just the way that we view the Atlas. Currently we have like, you know, the map view, and that looks like this. Obviously, as you can tell, you know, you're all very familiar with this. We look at our nodes, and this is about as far as we can zoom out. We can zoom out a little further than this. They also added like the ability to see citadels in the fog, which is really helpful. However, what I think would be nice is to have like an aerial view that we've got now, but then also like a map view. So the map view would be like, if you carried on scrolling out, then we would get a bit more of like a tactical kind of like traditional map layout, and this would zoom out, you know, much further. It's like bird's eye views. This is obviously just a rough mock-up. So you'd have a search bar up in the top left up here, and then you would have like a filters thing, and you could filter by like the biome or the node type, whether you completed that node.
Yeah,
or
I mean, we need proper searches, filters, whatnot, right? 100% agree on the zooming out, but then what I wouldn't like in terms of zooming out is when it's zooming out to the point where we have basically no information. So this is fine. I would honestly like if this was potentially, it could be zoom out a bit more. And in terms of PoE too, right now we're too zoomed in, and even after the buff, you know, to the zoom out range, we still need to be able to go out a lot more. I would like to, because now citadels are visible on the map, I would like to be able to zoom out to the point where I can see where all my citadels are. So that means technically at least maybe four of the current screens that are currently there in PoE 2 on the Atlas, because like zoom out to that much, like 4 times as, so you know, when the nodes are like 4 times as small, so I could actually see and plan out from an overarching site. But at the same time, I need that view to have more information that I can digest. So like biomes, like he said, being able to, what is this? Eta walls, pack size, and scarabs. Okay. So being able to like zoom out to the point where I can actually have the information I need and to plan out where I'm going would be ideal. Get this, please. So I can actually continue what I was saying. Thank you. All right. So where were we? So like this, I don't know if these small circles are supposed to be the nodes or if they're just like map details. I assume they're not, and I assume these are the nodes in question, and in which case I'm not even if these are the nodes in question, I'm not even sure this is zoomed out enough. Now if these are not the nodes in question and these are like the nodes in question and not map details, then this is quite small. But I'm inclined to believe these with the lines are the nodes in question. But then where are these lines going to? And what is this? Is this the center ziggurats? let me hear what he.
T2U,
Let me just
etc.,
hear.
etc., like the nearest
What up,
XY.
Scissorly? How you
And, know,
doing?
this would be a little bit more detailed
Welcome.
than it is in this image. You know, you could have like nice icons showing off the different kind of tower mods and whether things were completed or not. I just wanted to give like a rough idea that, you know, imagine you scroll out and you get like this ruffled sound effect, and it's like paper unfolding. Kind of like the act transitions that we see at the minute with the kind of like animatic paper animations that they have there. Do you know what else would be really cool on this, as a side note, is like if you could actually just like create a series of connected dots, and that is like to plan your path. All of these changes will make more sense as I talk about.
Planning the path would be really nice.
About the next thing I want to talk about, that is tablets. Okay, so this is where probably my
only problem with the map thing would be that I see GGG not, if they give us something like that, I see them also not giving us something that would path into the fog.
my most cut,
which if you were doing any major pathing in PoE2 would typically involve heading into the fog.
Take here, and that is that I want to argue and petition for the removal of tablets entirely. You just end up in this situation where you're having to set up a load of these
I mean, I agree. You guys know how I feel about tablets. I think tablets are just not, they aren't fun in their current implementation. My problem with tablets is that they have way too many mods, and the fact that we can't roll them means you're kind of just screwed over by from the moment you get the tablet. If your strategy needs one mod in particular, it's like imagine this were tablets, but for let's say this is harvest, because I'm doing harvest right now. This is your harvest scarabs or tablets. All of this entire line and this one are all harvest scarabs. But when I choose the one scarab, it's just going to pick at random which ones I actually load up in my map. And if I really wanted to, I would have to like go buy the individual tablets from other people. But instead of having like being able to bulk buy this one from this person, because nobody has like a bulk of different modifiers, I'm like, I just have to bulk buy the random one and just pray that they are what I want, or buy one of the other ones at random. Like it just feels bad. Like, what the hell is that? Why? We came from scarabs where harvest only has 3, because this is what is good for it. These are things I would want, and I get to, and because there's only 3, people can actually hoard them and sell in bulk, and all these other things that make trading a really nice quality of life. But now we have to deal with this, where okay, we have some good modifiers all around, that none of them are particularly bad, so you can just magic and go, like you can transmute and go. But the problem is, like, ritual is a very big offender in this case, where it's like you want one mod in particular, and because you want one mod in particular, those tablets are going to go for a fortune, and anything else is like you're not using, so it's dirt cheap. So it's like you have 10 scarabs, but only one is actually worth any value, but you have no way of knowing that before you pick the tablet. And even if you did, it just feels bad. It's just a very, very meh feeling. So either what I would want is either remove tablets altogether, or if you want to take the more tame route, it's cut the tablets mod pool in like a quarter. Not like even half is still too many mods. Like a quarter, like just let it only have like 3 to 4 modifiers at most. Then you actually have like, then you can actually have farming strategies, and maybe and if you really wanted to, you could make the modifiers stronger or something, or encompass different aspects of the mechanic. That way we can actually still have variety in how we engage with the farming systems. But not only that, we know that regardless of the one in, like, let's say there's only 4 modifiers, regardless of the 4 modifiers we get, there's at least something good for, I guess, the kind of farm we want. or maybe not cut it in a quarter, but like consolidate them into a quarter, so you can still have the different ways to merge them, but like maybe now instead of having a 1 in 10 chance to get the modifier you want, now it's a 1 in 3 because they have 3 modifiers or something. I don't know. I don't think having more modifiers actually fixes the problem, but like it helps. It make arcs so much like more expensive though, but like it helps. Like maybe that is a middle ground. Allow us get them rare and do not increase the modifier pool because of it. Let them have 6 mods. But then the problem with this is then you might now want to have a particular set of like 2 or 3 modifiers that are insane together, and then we're back to square one. So like I don't think that's a proper solution either. Yeah, just remove like 3/4 of that mod pool. I don't know. I don't know. This is why I'm not a game dev. I have no idea how you fix it, but right now the current iteration is just not it.
Different tablets, and then kind of like, you know, get them all on all of your different towers, and you have to do all this stuff to get maximum juice, and it just feels like half of my gameplay is spent setting up the game that I want to play.
When you get to more juice strats, from what I hear, it's not even half. It's like literally 80% of your gameplay is setting up towers, and then you get to like you spend like hours setting up your tablets to then have 10 maps that you run. Do you know how insane that is? But that's like gigas juicing, but like everybody wants, like if that is giga juicing, I would never giga juice in PoE2, just period. I would never do it. But like I wouldn't want a situation where there's content I can't do because I do not, because I would have to engage with a particular system, I guess, more so than I would like to. Instead, I would prefer if the barrier to entry for said giga juicing was actually how strong is my character. I think that's a fair thing to ask for in an ARPG, I believe.
I get the point that you're creating a sense of like juicing and reward, but gating that behind kind of like RNG and trade, and then I think it basically makes you feel more like you're losing out rather than you're winning. And I think there's actually a theme of a lot of the
I agree with that
when you're dealing with like endgame that kind of sits on one side of this fence. So,
an unpopular opinion in the current state of PoE2, honestly, the tablets in their base form, i.e. they give mechanics they just add mechanics to your maps. I actually like that. I like that. I kind of like the idea of right now there aren't too many breach maps in the vicinity of this tower, but I put the tablet and now there are breaches all over the place. There's something satisfying about it. When you take it, you go to one tablet, your one tower, you've done it, so now there's not all your maps have breaches, but like some of them have. You go to the next tower, there's some overlap. Now a lot of the towers in that overlap have breaches, and then you go to the third tower and do the same thing, and now basically everything in a very wide area has breaches. So now you can then spend the next, I don't know, let's say the next 2-3 hours just farming that one spot because they all have breaches, and then when they're done, you move on to the next area. Like there's something okay about it. Like I don't mind it as much, but like it's when you start dealing with wanting the modifiers on the tablets, that is when it just goes completely haywire, in my opinion.
Sometimes it creates a feeling that where you're getting a bonus, and on the other side it creates a feeling that if you're not doing it, you're losing. And you want to avoid the sense that you have to do something, otherwise you're doing it unoptimally as much as possible, and we want to create fun bonuses as much as possible, and this philosophy drives a lot of our other changes. So that is my argument. Just remove tablets entirely and just go back to a much more simple thing of just rolling maps. That gets rid of 90% of the busy work that the system's created in PoE2. Now, I've put an alternative here.
What do you mean rolling maps?
This wouldn't be like my desire to see this. However, if the design...
What does he mean by rolling maps? A new Atlas passive tree system will further support this. Okay, if it's like Atlas passive tree, yes, 100%. I agree. 1000% I agree with that. But if it means like modifiers on maps being the source of the mechanics, that I disagree with. That would no. How about no?
Designers did really want to have a system where you've got this extra bit of content, you know, this extra consumable item essentially that can drop and juice maps even further, like sextants. I would drop compasses. Let's call them compasses for now. And these compasses, instead of tablets, they're like an item slot in your character, and you basically like just put the compass in there, and then it has a number of uses, so it's not specifically affecting certain nodes, so you don't have to do the whole tower overlay gameplay thing. I still think this is bad. Most players, I think, just want to alch and go, essentially. I mean, you can only alch and go basically now, and I think players want it that way. I think we've got a better idea for what a compass could be, and that is as we're going on to talking about towers. Tower gameplay. Towers is a pretty hot topic. Obviously GGG have heard the feedback about towers. People don't really like them. They felt pretty static, so they added the extra maps, and now in 0.2 it looks like we're getting even more interesting tower options. So we're going to have bosses in towers, and you can get other extra content can now spawn in towers. And this, I think, is GGG's attempt to make towers interesting and fun. And
can't even imagine trying to do breach in a tower
node or a regular map. I think there's a missed opportunity here. I've got a shout out to Felix, who is one of the members in the Discord. Join our Discord, by the way, link in the description below. So Felix mentioned this idea just in passing one day, and I was like, that's a great idea. Let's start off with reducing the number of towers by like 5 to 8 times. So they're much rarer, so we're not having to do them all the time. We've already got rid of tablets, so you don't have to do them for tablets. And then in place of like the tablet holder at the end, we're gonna have something different. But the actual gameplay of these towers, let's imagine you go into a tower, it has a series of floors. Each floor that you complete, the challenge increases, but you're also gaining increased reveal radius. The idea being that like when you see a tower, it's something you want to work towards because you want to reveal more area, but also it's a unique kind of gameplay, kind of like the elevator lift.
Kind of
go into a trial master fight.
It kind of sounds like something in Last Epoch, where there is a node you can complete, the lighthouse, I think they call it there, where you do the node, you light the beacon, I think is what they call it, and then it reveals a large area in there. Kind of sounds like there's more to it, but it also kind of sounds a bit tedious having the whole floor system. I don't know. Kind of sounds a bit tedious.
Or the ziggurat lift, that kind of thing, where each tower has its own randomized little like floors and different challenges, different types of monsters and bosses. But the cool thing about this is you can add like Atlas.
Like, good example of something of like the way this can feel tedious is if any of you have played Torchlights. I've played a lot of Torchlights. How does it feel when you're doing Path of the Brave? Path of the Brave goes from 1 to 10 in one ticket, then the next ticket goes 11 to 20, then 21 to 30, up to 50, I think. So like there's 5 different ticket tiers. And I think completing one gives you the one for the next one, as an example. Doing 1 to 10 when your build is already strong enough, it's just fucking boring. Like, it's just tedious. I don't want to do that. So like if that is a necessary evil to engage with towers, I feel like people would proceed to not engage with them even more. Now some people might like the idea of it or the feel of it or something, but like it's either a level 1 is hard enough to like keep you engaged, but then the top one is like impossible because difficulty scaling, or the first one is just boring so that the last one is actually somewhat challenging. And I mean, it's the same thing with Simulacrum as well. That's actually Simulacrum is actually a better example for this, where before with 30 wave Simulacrums, the first 15 waves were just a chore, where you're just doing it, you're not really getting rewards, but you're doing it you're doing the lesser evil or doing the necessary evil to have fun later on in the Simulacrum. So on paper, like scaling difficulty sounds good, but in practice it's very, very, very difficult to actually get it to a point where people aren't just like slugging through the non-challenging bits to finally get to the challenging bits, or having the, or if it's the reverse, then this is challenging and this is just impossible, you know.
That kind of changes the way that towers play. So, you know, say an example here, precursor panopticon, towers reveal radius is increased by 25 to 50%, and these are additional nodes that you can spec into on your Atlas passive tree. Vertigo, that should be the other way around, you should be able to see this, but that actually says towers have 2 additional floors, so you've got even more chance to push the tower content there. Compass attunement, reward options offered by the precursor compass have 30% increased rarity. Now, what is a precursor compass? Let's get into that. It's a device that offers the player specific information about the Atlas. So this is offering players more agency about how they want to engage with the Atlas and kind of craft and traverse and navigate their own Atlas. So it allows them to make informed decisions about which direction they would like to go. Like the Divine font in PoE 1, which I think people really like. It's like you open it up and you're like, oh, here's some cool options, especially since Transfigured gems come in. You're going to get like 3 to 5 options. You can see like an example of mock-up just here in the middle.
Why does the Horizon orb look like a Deadlock character? Shiv. There's a striking resemblance in the face. The hair not so much, but the face.
And each floor not only increases the reveal range, but it also increases the rarity of outcomes you can get on this tablet. Alright, so let's take a look at the list on the left here. You've got direction, location, and travel options, which are increasingly rare. And then you've got a load of other options that we can go into. But direction of Citadel. So the idea here is if you click that option, it would give you like a compass pointing exactly in the direction of where that nearest node is. So say it was like a Citadel of copper or Citadel of iron, you would then be able to see kind of like, okay, this is the way I need to go to get there. The same thing with unique maps, you could have that. Then you've got location of. Now this is like rarer and more powerful because not only...
Now, direction, I mean, this feels a bit nitpicky, but like direction has the potential of just revealing a tower you already know where it is because you've already like seen the outskirts of it. But you know that one and you're just like scouting for others. But like direction would just feel bad.
Does it point the direction, but you actually reveal that little bit of fog of war for that node specifically. And then we've got the really kind of like quite powerful and I think like really interesting and empowering kind of option here, which is travel to. On your Atlas, you can now like actually click a node that was, you know, the nearest Citadel of X, or, you know, the nearest unique map, and essentially it acts as if you have a connected point there, so you can actually just travel to that node straight away and kind of jump over maybe a mountain range or etc, etc. We then got some other stuff like, you know, towers reveal, and they have like, you know, increased rarity options, so you can get lucky with the rolls, and you can drop additional horizon orbs. We'll talk about horizon orbs in a second. You don't even see the divine font until you say, right, I'm finished with this tower, I don't want to go any further. And one cool thing you could do as well, this like less punishing, every time you die in a tower, you might not immediately lose that tower, but one of the options is blocked out. So the more portals you use, essentially, the less you're able to actually use the precursor compass at the end. So you have less options, or maybe you even like brick it completely. So you're still getting the reveal benefit, but you're losing the additional bonus. And I think that is, as a side note, I think that's a much better way to like approach the kind of death penalty difficulty stuff. Is every time you die, you lose like there's an opportunity cost to some sort of reward that you're losing.
Last Epoch does that in the form of like when you die in a node, you lose the bonus reward you're going to get from it. You still get some loot, but not the bonus, and that just sucks. Like in Last Epoch, when you die in a node, like personally, this is about me. I don't know about you guys, but when I die in a node on Last Epoch, I don't even feel like traversing that node anymore. I kind of just want to ignore it and go around it or do whatever else. I don't want to engage with it. It disgusts me. Now, granted, this is the same case in PoE 2 in its current iteration, because now if you fill a map, now you can't have additional content in there. If it was a Citadel, it's gone. You can't run it again. Yada 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 yada, right? But I I don't like these. Like, it just feels bad. Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but like the moment you're taking away stuff for completing the map, then the natural feeling is to just not want to even engage with completing it and just go to the next one. Like, realistically. And being forced to do it would then just feel bad.
And it's not 100 to 0. It's like not like you lose the whole map. It's like, oh, you lose 2 of the mods, or, you know, 2 of the pre.
I mean, isn't that kind of how it is right now, where you lose it and you just lose the bonus mechanics that were on the map, but then you don't lose the map? You can still run it and do it,
or whatever. And in this case, this is a really nice example of that, where yeah, you just lock out one of the options every time you die, and then you could have, you know, chance to not lock out an option on the Atlas node and on the Atlas tree. Anyway, that's kind of getting into it. Now I want to talk about the other reward here, which is bringing back Horizon Orbs. So I think a really fun, unique way to make towers, you know, not only from a gameplay point of view, but again, thinking about the rewards here, beyond the precursor compass, would be that could be the only place that Horizon Orbs drop. And Horizon Orbs, or Horizon Shards, would, you know, basically work very similarly. They would just allow you to change the layout of that node. So within that biome, you could change the layout of any node. All right, so that is towers. That's how I wanted to change up the way that towers work. So they're different from a gameplay point of view. They're also different from their reward.
What do I think about the overall tower change? I kind of said how I feel. The 1 to top level gameplay with scaling difficulty can easily feel like a slog early on if it's not challenging enough, or feel impossible if it's too difficult, if it's difficult early on, yada yada, right? With compasses, I mean, I like the idea of having the extra reward options, and some of them have, I guess, promise. You know, being able to travel would be really good as a reward for towers. Reveal the direction is I mean, not the big fan of it. Reveal the location. I mean, I don't see what revealing the location does, unless there's like certain nodes you're actively hunting for. I don't think revealing, like, okay, now I can see it, and it doesn't do much. But like I said, travel would be actually pretty interesting to work with. And I still think, to a degree, I like towers in that I like the idea of having like an AoE around it that is affecting the content you run. I just don't like the current implementation of that.
Now, the meat of this video, I want to get into extra content, your breach, your expedition, ritual. I want to talk about like how that stuff, I think, should work very differently.
Side notes, what mechanics do you think they're gonna add this patch? Because they're obviously gonna add at least one new mechanic into the end game. I say at least because minimum, it could be more, but at least one. What do you think that mechanic is going to be? I haven't really thought about it, but realistically, well, there are a few things I know it's not going to be. We can just take delve out. It's probably not going to be delve. It's definitely not going to be harbinger, because we're trying to stay in Ray class and we're not dealing with celestials yet. So their words. So then, out of the mechanics we don't have in PoE 1, what can they add? To a very, very, very small degree, we can imagine there's going to be either Einhar, because the name of the patch is Dawn of the Hunt, and it just fits bestiary, or it's going to be, or Harvest. Now, Harvest doesn't really. I don't think it has a place yet in PoE 2. I can't imagine what link they would bring. They could create one, right? And they would of course have a new implementation for it. But I'm more inclined to believe Einhar would be the mechanic of choice in some reimagined way for PoE 2. That would be my guess, anyways.
All right, first, let's start off with the extra content accessibility. Okay, so here's the initial problem that I've seen, and this is the problem I'm trying to solve here, is that it feels really steep to get into those atlas trees. You know, in PoE 1 you had a really nice smooth curve where all you had to do was, you know, especially at the beginning, was just complete maps, and then you got some points and you could put them into the content you liked quite early. With this, it felt like, oh, I have to kill a boss just to get my initial points, which then helps me get enough, you know, ritual shards or whatever, to then get the boss again, right? It just feels like too painful, that initial curve.
Yeah, it definitely is work.
A load of changes, but the idea here is to increase the number of points to 10 from 8. Those.
Why is, I don't know, what is spacebar activating or deactivating? I don't even know.
First two objectives.
But give me a second. BRB. I'm back. Here's something I thought about. As potential sources of our first few points, we could have. Here, I think we might need slightly more points for the mechanics. That's 8 points with 4 checkpoints, so to say, feels kind of whatever. But the first, our first points could be gotten by just running the mechanic. You run the mechanic once, you get your first point. Boom, easy. You get another point for doing the mechanic in a yellow map, then in a red map. And then you get the next one for running the mechanic X amount of times. Maybe... He has some decent objectives here, to be honest. But stuff like this would be nice as well. Having it tied, some points tied to stuff that is not just, oh, do this in this level of content. Oh, do this in red maps, or having extra points you can get by just, I want to farm this objective, I'm going to do it regardless of what tier of map it is. I just want to speed run it. Now I would like that to be an option as well. But let's see. I mean, not the most optimal, but like, let's see what it's about to say.
To get your early points are much easier. Just open 40 class pans, 10 breaches, or like 20 breaches or something to do that. Then you've got, you know, kill 100 breach rares. You're like, okay, it's a bit more of a difficult thing, but I can do that. Then you've got kill Zesht. And you don't have to necessarily do these in order, right? So maybe you can get to Zesht before then, maybe you've funded, maybe you've got a breach stone from a friend or whatever, and you can do that and get those points that way. But there's just like 2 extra objectives in there that allow you to get extra points. So now we've got 10 points. Like, what do we do with those points? And this is my big advocation here, which is I'm kind of like want to make the argument of going back to having a chance to spawn content based on your Atlas investment rather than the node having content inherently on it. We've got rid of tablets, obviously. Okay, well, how do you get your extra content on those nodes? I would advocate going back to the PoE1 style of like chance to spawn breach, chance to spawn expedition, because I think it's just like much more reliable, it's much more consistent, and I would actually like simplify the whole thing a lot, which is that every point you spend in a content tree, you get 10% chance to spawn that content. In theory, by the time you're at like 8 points, you probably have a 100% chance if there's a 20% base chance. Let's just ignore that. Let's just say, like, for simplicity of the argument, there's 10 points. Every point you put into that tree, you get a 10% chance to spawn that content, to a point where eventually every single time you go into a map, you'll be able to guarantee that content. And I think that just feels really good for people. If you're going to give people the option of how they want to play.
I have a few thoughts on this. And one thing I think the biggest downside to this system that I personally wouldn't like would be in the current state of PoE2, you can have points in the different many trees at the same time, and you don't necessarily have to worry about chance to spawn it. Ergo, you can have 8 points here, 8 points here, 8 points here, 8 points here, and what matters for your maps is what you put on your tiles to then spawn the mechanics. If you go back to chance based Atlas, then of course you can have all the mechanics. I don't think even right now you can't have all the mechanics, but I would like to be able to fully engage in those, I guess, trees in a way that satisfies me. And I wouldn't want us to go back to PoE1's Atlas tree either, because I mean, it's a new game. I kind of would like new systems ideally, but even putting that aside, if you have, let's say, a separate tree for chance for content, let's say, and it's where you put points in this tree that matters for chance for content, and that severely limits the amount of, I guess I want to say, crossover farming you can have for like 2 different types of content at the same time. And the only way to I see that we can balance this to not reduce the being able to reliably like interconnect 2 strategies like Delirium and Breach, for as an example, would be to go back to having one big Atlas tree where, you know, you can go for a chance or scaling that's a mechanic, or you can go for chance and scaling. And if you were to go for like chance on both of them, well, you might not be as skilled in both of them, but you'd have chance for both of them, and you'd have it like interconnection between them. Like I said, I would personally, I'd rather just have a new system that is just as good. So, but I want to fully hear, I guess, what he has to say before I make up my mind on. But like right now, I'd rather it were somehow different, so I guess we wouldn't respec as much, or we could really play around with different mechanics is I don't really care about the respecking, to be honest. I really don't. But it would feel weird having, I don't know, all your 8 points and then wanting to run Breach and Delirium, and then you don't have enough points in the solo tree that should give you a chance to have 100% on both. So now you have like 60% on both, and you're just praying each time you click your map that you have both of them in it. You know, something like that.
Just like let them play that way eventually if they invest enough, right? And then this creates a problem, because the way that PoE 2 works is that in theory you can max out all of your trees, right? If you just complete all of the objectives, you get all of the points, which was not the way in PoE 1. So I think like this is actually spawned like a really cool idea, which is that players can now toggle on trees that they want to have active. So you wouldn't want a situation where, you know, especially if you're adding like more and more content, say they add blight, say they add, you know, heist or what, like whatever, not heist, but in-map content. You wouldn't want a situation where you've maxed out all your trees and then you've got like 8 different types of extra content in each tree. It would feel bad for many reasons, obviously. So as you can see on the right hand side, we've got like trees active. And what if you had like up to 3 trees that you could have active at once? And you can see kind of like the example here, I've like activated the expedition tree, and so it's like highlighted. So you're getting your base chance to spawn content obviously anyway, but then you've got 1 tree that you can have active. And the idea then being that by completing the pinnacle content, like your Exarch and Eater stuff, like the PoE 2 equivalent being the Arbiter, if you're killing the Arbiter, if you get, progress through those objectives, you unlock more trees that you can have active at once. The Arbiter tree should always be active. That's considered like part of the core atlas or something, and maybe you could design it differently so it works that way. These extra content trees, you can then toggle them on or off. So you can max all of them, which feels good from like a, just like an agency point of view, but then you can only use some of them in each map. And you can just freely toggle them, like on and off. So from map to map, you can change your strategy. And that gets rid of the whole loadout problem. Like you don't need like 3 loadouts, 4 loadouts, etc. It's just like, cool, I have all of them. I just turn on what I want to play.
What do I think? It's not a bad idea. Kind of solves what I was talking about. But what if, but like with a system like this, you have less agency. With a system like this, you have way less agency in hyper-juicing one particular content. What do I mean? Right now, even in PoE 2, with its lack of juicing and its lack of crafting and its lack of whatever else you want to say, in its current form, you can find a cluster that has 5 towers. Even if you don't like, you're not going for one particular mod on your tablets, but you're just going for tablets. You put tablets for the same content on it, essentially hyper juicing one content like Delirium over and over and over again. Now, all 5 of them are given some bonus to Delirium that is not available to the others, like Breach, Expedition, yada yada, not available there. And this allows you to get even more goodies or loot from your desired content. Whereas with this toggle system, A, there's no reason to ever be below your maximum, and B, you just lose agency in really hyper juicing one mechanic or going for 3 mechanics or something. Like maybe if there's a bonus for having, tick like less than maximum, that could potentially help, but like I feel like it loses a lot of it removes a lot of player agency, and I'm not the biggest fan of that. Like, yeah, you choose the mechanics, but so far at least there hasn't been any talk of like scarabs or ways to really juice it. So let's see, maybe there's something coming up, maybe.
Which is really cool. This system works really well with adding more and more content. You could have 10 extra content atlases, but you're only allowed 3 on at any time. Like, from the designer's point of view, they're constantly having to look at like the opportunity cost balance and reworking the power, you know, from league to league to league, which is really exciting. It frees them up to do stuff. All right, here is an example of like a breach tree, for example, that, you know, I've just mocked up. I've added a couple of extra nodes because we have like 10 points now. So, you know, make of those what you will. You've got all of like the core nodes here, but then like I've added Dreamwalker. You have a 2% chance to instantly be teleported into a Breach Stone when you open a Breach Lord's clasped hand or kill a Breach Lord. I thought that was like a fun thing. All of a sudden you get a free Breach Stone. So you've got the objectives on the left, on the top left there, but then on the bottom what I want to draw attention to is you just see the number of points. And so like if you hovered over that, it would say 10% chance for a node to contain a breach per point allocated. So as you allocate the point,
there is a very glaring issue with this system. And it was the same issue he mentioned as to why the acquiring points is needed in the first place. And that is, if you have one objective done, you get 2 points, open 40 claps hands, 100 breach res, just on difficulty 1. You've done one of them. You only have 2 points. You're gonna put 1.1.2. Cool. How the fuck are you going to kill 100 breach res or 40 claps hands or get enough breach splinters for a breach stone when you have 20% chance to have breach in your maps? The translation is you just don't. I do kind of like this node though. I like the idea of having the free breach stone. But that is the one glaring problem of this system. It doesn't fix the current problems, in that the current problems require you to do a fight to get the reward, which would then enable you the option to do the fight even more, to then be able to progress even faster. So the way it works out is, to get your first 2 points is always the slowest because you have no juice into getting that boss fight to then upgrade yourself even further. So that is the big problem right now, and having 20% chance early on for breach until you do one of these objectives, it's just going to feel bad. Like how do you want, like, basically you're getting, let's say I think he proposed a base chance. There's a base chance for a node, and then points in here give you a chance for said node. That would mean that, let's say it's a 20% base chance. Until your first objective done, you're going to be seeing a breach every 5 maps, once every 5 maps. In those once every 5 maps, it's not juice, so you don't have the number of class hands that would be required to do this quickly. You don't have the juice to get more rest to spawn. You don't have the juice for breach stone splinters to drop more in your map. Like, you don't have any of that. So you still have the same issue, only this time you have a lower chance of running into breach to then potentially make progress towards the objectives, I should say. So while some of these objectives are obviously easier to complete than, say, just finishing a breach stone when you have no breach stone juice, I'm not a big fan of this 10% chance, or having percent chance per point in the mechanic. I'm really not a big fan of that one. That is where I was instantly lost.
Points, you know, whether that's, you know, a small trap.
Did anyone in the comment section say it? No one mentioned it. It's interesting. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. It's like this will feel bad.
Node or it's a notable, you're then increasing this chance, and then you're going to get more of that content, obviously. The final thing on the bottom left here is I've loaded like the difficulty nodes. You know, the travel nodes say like, oh, +1 difficulty to the thing. I want to do difficulty a different way. I'll show you that in a second. But the other thing is like, it's really confusing because you could actually like, in theory, you could add extra difficulty which did nothing. This was brought up by many people in the original design. Like, instead of taking a notable, you could take 2 travel nodes, and then you're like, well, does that increase it beyond? You know, you can in theory get more difficulty than the content allowed for, which made no sense. So we've got these back to travel nodes, and I will show you like an example of the way that the realm gate here could look with difficulty. So you basically just select your difficulty. As you complete each boss, you unlock, you know, the next difficulty setting, and you can just select your difficulty when you're placing your fragments and stuff like that. Okay, now I want to talk about this was obviously inspired by the Legacy of Phrecia event, and this is like taking this idea further. What if we just redesigned the way that the additional content atlas trees worked? This kind of streamlines them from a design point of view, streamlines them from a visual point of view, and then also adds in like idols as like a whole fun thing. So the first thing would be like the redesign of the branch, right? Going away from like a tree into a single branch. And the idea here is that you have a static kind of progression from, you know, one point to the next. But each time you take a notable, you get to select from a string of notables. So you can kind of see here, I don't know why that extra ring's there, but you can see like as I, you know, go to take this notable, I can basically kind of like a, you know, one-armed bandit kind of thing. I can just slide through my options here. And so each tier of notable node has like options from all of the ones before it, but then it gains new ones as you go through. And that's how you kind of like gate access to more powerful nodes. So the idea being that we've got 10 points that we can allocate, and each one we go through, we, you know, pick whatever notable we want, and then you can just like change those notables, maybe with a, you know, like a respec cost or whatever. So that's like a really nice way of streamlining the design. So you can see like I've mocked up a thing here, a reworking of like what the atlas could look like. You've got all of these different trees in nice, simple branches that go around the main tree. But yeah, if we come back to
from a UI point of view, this looks really good. I like this. I like this a lot. But there is one disadvantage to this. As you add more mechanics, you kind of either A, start losing space, or B, make this look a whole lot more intimidating for newer players. But then again, the current system isn't much better in the not looking intimidating aspect. Like right now it isn't, obviously, because there's only like what, 4 mechanics, 1 2 3 4, something like that. Maybe the 2 extras become the boss ones, but eventually when you have like 3 more mechanics, 4 more mechanics, you start seeing the current system look a lot more intimidating for newer players. So I like the design of this one. As for the notable thing, not a bad idea, to be honest. Really not. It might honestly get a bit hard to get a full mental picture of everything everything you could potentially get from one of these skill trees. Like as an example, breach. You might not be able to like just have that overarching picture of, oh, these are the 4 big notables that I could potentially get. Maybe I want to do this, or I want to do this, or I want to do this. Like, it's easy to just say, okay, I'm going splinters, go splinters, and then maybe you check, okay, maybe I want to replace this 1 point. You look for, and let's say it's the first one. You look for alternatives, and then you choose it, and you go on budget day. But then you don't realize that the one you just picked has a node, let's say in the highest branch, that giga juices it, and you just don't know because you didn't check. And what this would promote is going through every single node every single time to make sure there is nothing, or going to the top one to make sure you have an overarching idea of like what is currently there or what exists to be taken. before you make any changes to your strat overall, and that's gonna feel a bit so-so. Basically.
The main tree. But yeah, if we come back to now, like talking about idols, right? So idols, this is kind of like the out there crazy idea. But I think they're actually wicked. I think they're really, really interesting. But the problem they create by replacing the Atlas is that they create a situation where everything's RNG, so you can't steadily progress through your Atlas and your mapping progression. It's way more like janky, and then it's way more dictated by the market, and you get this huge immediate separation between people. So I like propose a really like nice way to solve this, to keep all of the good things about idols, which is, you know, their
is this in PoE 1 or PoE 2 or really either
content the way you want to play it. And they're a really good way that the designers can like add in new stuff without really having to change anything. They don't have to go in and change the trees or anything. They just add like a new mod to that type of idol. I think a cool way to do it would be, you have all of your travel nodes and you have your notable nodes here that like are options, right? And you have these pre-built options in the trees already. However, as you drop idols, you can then socket those over the top of the nodes that you've selected. So you can turn, you know, like your, I don't know, your thing that makes breaches expand quicker. You can take that as you're like progressing through your levels. You've got these essentially like pre-built in options and idols there. But then say you drop like a really good idol, like you can see on like on the side there, it's like Dreamer's Sight Notable Breach Idol. You gain 20% more likely to be from Esh and 8% chance to have additional breaches, da-da-da-da-da. You can then go, oh, that's really what I want. I'd really want like Esh stuff for some reason. You can then just drop that idol in there and it replaces the notable, and then you can customize it. If you wanted to push this further, you could even have like, you know, travel ones. So like really simple things. So say the base one was like 10% more splinters. You could have ones that are like, you know, 18% more chance to contain a breach.
I think this would have the same problems that the current idol system has, but with less RNG. So it'd be easier to go from one farming system to the other, and it'd be easier to respec, but to get into any farming strategies that are quote-unquote meta, even no matter how much you may like it, there is going to be a steep cost to it from a trade point of view, and that is still would still be very prominent with this setup. Maybe even more so. Well, not more so because RNG is a thing, so probably not more so, but it'd be a lot more prominent is the TLDR. It will still be like, let's say Breach was meta and this was these are the mod combinations that really juice that one. Now, unless this is the only rare mod combination, which then that defeats the purpose. Anything that has the perfect set would be insanely expensive, and even having one part of the set might also end up being so giga expensive depending on how meta it is. So you have the negative trade implications of it still being, of idols still being present, basically.
You know the crack, like there's plenty of options there, adds more agency, more customization, but doesn't have any of the downsides of just being idols. And then I thought like a really fun thing to do, you can't really see it because my big old head's in the way. You've got maybe like anchor idols. So once you've unlocked all 10 of your slots, you open up this anchor idol slot, which is like this purple section on the bottom left here. And then you can maybe have like these really unique gameplay changing idols that drop
the crop rotations,
or maybe they can only drop from like the highest difficulty pinnacle versions of the boss or whatever. I think the example I came up with here was,
I think this should have been You Who Are Many.
For like people that just want to farm the bosses for drops.
I think
and stuff,
just name wise that would have made a lot of sense.
Straight to the boss. Your breach stones require 1,000 splinters to form, and you have 350% more rarity inside breach stones. So essentially this is running 3 breach stones worth of rarity in one, but they cost 3 times the amount, you know, to form.
This is AI generated, I think.
So this is just for people that want to they're like, right, I really
actually maybe not, since he is a big UI guy.
Wisdom and Action.
But it probably is,
which will become a T0.
at least to a degree.
You could do some crazy stuff with this, and this is like the place that I just thought would be fun for the designers to explore, and maybe it's like a much later patch thing. Alright, so with all of that said, there's my big presentation of what I think could be changed in the end game and with the current systems they have. So let's recap it. We got the map extension view, so being able to zoom all the way.
Zoom out is big W change. If I would love that.
Even layout node paths that you want to take would be super helpful. Being able to search nodes.
So what did I think? Good video, by the way. I already liked it beforehand, so good, really good video. I like the ideas, or the ideas have promise, but like they still all have like caveats to them that are kind of, you know, neat cooking, but like there's promise. The biggest, I think, downside to the overarching changes he's proposing is the, I guess, loss of hyperjuicing the mechanic. But I also assume he's proposing scarabs in the scarab's current form. I think he mentioned that in the removing tablet section or something like that, when he mentioned compasses and whatnot. So with that in mind, I don't mind scarabs. I play PoE 1. Scarabs are, I like scarabs a lot, as you might imagine. You know, I haven't even sold my scarabs once this league. I really should. But anyways, I would hate to see hyper focusing on one mechanic go away. And if the way we do that is scarabs, I honestly don't mind. If with the toggle system it feels like PoE 1, then A, there's no reason to ever have less than 3 ever toggled. But then B, if you're not using scarabs for those other 2, it might just feel as bad as PoE 1 when you run into a random blight in your map. You just don't touch it, you don't interact with it, even though you have it selected on. So there would be two most likely occurrences with that system, and that is A, people only use one selected node because they want to hyperjuice it with scarabs, or B, people have all 3 because they are strong enough to where there's no reason to not to have anything less, and they still just do one mechanic. Those are the outcomes I see as potentials. Anyways, it's maybe I just don't see anything else with that implementation. Now maybe if the idea could be refined a bit, then sure, it's possible. But where is this? But yeah, then sure, it's possible. But but in the current presented form, those are my thoughts on it. So now we've seen that video. Now we can get to farming, I think. Like I said, I think our next upgrade is going to be probably our gloves and implicit. I don't want to start working on implicit on this guy because of, well, no points. Oh shit, you know something else? I'm going to need, I am going to need an open prefix on my gloves so I can benchcraft minion damage up to 20%. Now, if I had to go to essences and go fears, I could get even more minion damage, but it would be so difficult trying to get strength on that. Like, how do I even go about getting strength with minion damage? Because in theory, this would give me up to 30% increased minion damage, which paired with the implicit could give me like 60% increased minion damage, which would actually be a pretty decent DPS boost. but I will need T1 strength as well as T1 res, and that is either just going to be stupidly expensive with like Eldritch Chaoses and an Eldritch Currency. Like these are 40C a piece. These are 88C a piece, and then these are, well, these are not worth that much. But if I were to craft with Rage Essences, I would lose out on like 10% increased minion damage, which is not the end of the world. But I would more easily get T1 Strength, T1 Chaos Res, and then T1 Lightning afterwards. Then once all of that is done, I then work on my prefixes, which would be much easier to do. And when I've gotten my life and have gotten life check and a second prefix, I just get my minion damage 20%, lose 10%, and you know, I think that honestly is, I don't think 10% minion damage is worth that much effort, so that's what I'm currently leaning towards anyways. So that is what we are going to be going for in Build Harvest. Oh, there's Maven. Why? Something feels a bit sluggish here.
Give yourself to the void. Take this vitality boon. Take this vitality boon.
I'm lagging. Oh god, I'm dropping frames.
Take this vitality boon. Don't resist my entropy. Be healed and fight on.
Are we done dropping frames? It looks like we are. Let's hope my connection doesn't waver again. Can only hope, because like that wouldn't be fun. If now that we're getting into information season and all these different releases is when my connection decides, well, it's been a good run. Fucking ritual, man. Those freaking balls. Anyways, hopefully now it's not when my internet connection decides it's done playing nice and it just wants to be problematic. So let's hope not. But like, yeah, I detest ritual. I really do. Those balls do way too much damage. They need balancing. Like genuinely, with the number of them that show up, I think they need to rethink the pack sizes. They need to rethink the pack sizes for the mob that actually spawns these circle balls to where it's not as obnoxious. And B, they need to rethink the damage on these onset balls.
Give yourself to the void. Life is so brutal.
Bruh, did you?
Take this vitality boon.
Feed.
Give yourself to the void. Life is so brittle. Be healed and fight on.
Speaking of this, okay, that's the proper one. Have I seen the harvest yet?
So fallible.
No, right?
None resist my entropy. Take this vitality boon. Be healed and fight on. Be healed and fight on. Take this vitality boon. Give yourself to the void. Life is so brittle. Take this vitality boon. Feel death's pull. Mortal flesh is so fallible. Be healed and fight on.
Why was that green or purple rather?
Be healed and fight on. Life is so brutal. Take
This has reduced recovery rates. Where is the thing that was trying to wall us off?
Fight on. Life is so brittle.
Oh, it's you.
Give yourself to the void.
Mans was running away with that scarab of containment.
And fight on.
And this is why I always chase. You never know.
Feel death's pull. Be healed and fight on.
My mana is spent.
What were all those tiny things? And why were my minions trying to attack?
Feel your life drain away.
We've still not seen the harvest.
Try to do better than 3 rounds this time.
Be healed and fight on. Life is so brittle.
Oh, there it is.
Be healed and fight on. Give yourself to the void. Be healed and fight on. Life is so brittle. Be healed and fight on. Take this vitality boon. None resist my entropy.
All right, where are we going?
This way, exile.
3. Oh shit, we're doing all the purples first.
Mortal flesh is so fallible.
This lag.
Take this vitality
What is this lag? Bruh, am I losing frames again?
my entropy.
So far, so good.
Be healed and fight on. Life is so brittle. Be healed and
There's probably an invo on there somewhere. But with the lag, I have no idea what actually killed me because things are just slowing down and speeding up at a moment's notice.
Be healed and fight on. Life is so brittle. The field is full. Take this vitality boon. Life is so brittle. Give yourself to the void.
I'm going to save my haste for when this fucker spawns.
Mortal flesh is so fallible. None resist my entropy. Take this vitality boon. Be healed and fight on. Give yourself to the void. Be healed and fight on. Life is so brittle. Take this
Oh, you finally
vitality
phased?
boon.
Cool.
Give yourself to the void. Be healed and fight on. Feel your life drain away. Life is so brittle. Be healed and fight on. Be healed and fight on. Give yourself
Thank you very much for the Sacred Blossom. This feels like a lower loot map. We're not getting that much use from it. Maybe we are. It looks on the, but it does def look like the yellows didn't upgrade all that much. But I guess we'll see. Cause we sure as hell didn't get any purples, I'll tell you that much. Okay, not that bad. Almost 30k. Not as bad as I thought it would be, at least. Okay, since nobody has come for these guys, they are going right back into this tab until I'm ready to 3-1 them again. I'm not enjoying how this feels. There's still a bit of lag every once in a while when I click. I guess in the meantime, let's actually still see how much these are going for on trade. One in 12K. One in 12,500. One in 13-ish K. Now let me just make sure these are still kind of, ooh, this is 13K, so not bad. This is 13K, also not bad. This is 14.5, so I really shouldn't be going for blues. I should go for everything else that is not blue. Yellow is fine, purple is fine, blue is not. So I should be trying to sacrifice blues more readily, if you will. So we found the sacred grove. It's at the start of our map.
Now resist my entropy. Life is so brittle.
Is my character just slow? Maybe it was delirium.
Drain away. Life is so
That one was delirium.
give yourself to the void. Mortal flesh is so fallible.
Death will never come.
Shadow, rise and fight. Give yourself to the void.
Darkness swarms.
Life is so brittle. Now resist my entropy.
Kulamak.
Shadow.
Why did I mistake Maven for...
Arise, my children. Mortal. Feel death's grip. Darkness swarms.
Why is she still train mechanics? She should have... What the fuck is this lag?
Life is so brittle.
Give your soul to me. Your soul burns for me.
Feel your life fade away. Twin terrors.
Give your soul to me. Kulamak.
Mortal flesh is so fallible.
Arise, my children. Feed.
Give yourself to the void.
Give your soul.
Life is so brittle.
Your soul burns for me. Kulamak.
Twin terrors.
Arise.
Give yourself to the void.
Annoying lag spike that just keeps happening. And I'm not entirely sure why. It's big lag. It looks like today might be a short stream, boys. Looks like it might be a short stream. This is looking like it's gonna be a short stream, boys. Cause like, oh god, this is annoying me. Ugh. And Soronian, I do not currently have a build command, but I can real quick check for my account in case you're looking for that. Actually, better still, I can give you the POB I made. This is the aspirational end game setup, and this is where I am pretty much going to. I assume you can't hear me, of course, because my connection right now is pretty shitty. Hopefully, oh my goodness, that's taking so freaking long to generate. How you know the connection is bad? Okay, it looks like it's kind of stabilized. Maybe. Let's hope it doesn't do that again. Although, I didn't even finish my sentence.
Feel death's pull. Mortal flesh is so fallible.
Bruh.
Feel your life drain away.
Yeah, it's so bad right now. I don't even understand why it's this bad.
Flesh is so fallible.
It's kind of stabilizing, but it's also struggling to stabilize, so it's like
Pull.
My mana is spent.
it looks like it's okay-ish. Let me know if you can hear me. Nah, it's actually still struggling.
Feel your life drain away. Mortal flesh is so fallible. Yeah, this is big lag. It could be an exclusive to PoE thing because right now OBS is saying OBS isn't dropping any more frames. It's doing okay. But at the same time, it's also been dropping frames here and there, so it's not completely PoE.
Feel your life drain away. Life is so brittle. I feel death's pull.
Try to do better than 3 rounds this time.
Feel death's pull. Life is so brittle.
Okay, it looks like PoE is kind of sorting itself out. Hopefully.
Feel your life drain away.
How is stream? Can you guys hear me okay?
Mortal flesh is so fallible.
I assume right now there's a bit of a delay between
Now resist my
what I say and what shows up on Twitch. That is my assumption, at least. Yeah, fingers crossed. Yesterday I had to end my stream because of it, basically. So I'm really hoping I don't have to today. I think the harvest was over here. Two, three.
exile. Kill and exile quickly.
That purple is going to be giga juiced.
Flesh is so fallible. None resist my entropy.
Yeah, the lag is back. Oh shit, what the hell?
None resist.
What are those big ass circles?
Mortal flesh is so fallible. Feel your life drain away.
There's some invulnerability aura that I'm just waiting to get for it to drop.
Feel your life drain away.
Okay, I think my connection is doing okay now. I spoke too soon. I spoke way too soon. At this point, I think I kind of want to... Huh?
Life is so brittle.
Oh, shit. I mean, I'll take it. It dropped from the delirium.
Feel death's pull.
You sent me build link and I saw it about 1 minute later on stream. Oh, yeah. Big lag.
So fallible.
Tally, thanks for the help. Yesterday, Crucial T17 today. Congratulations. I'm always happy to help. What upgrades did you end up getting? Can you hear me on YouTube? I've been having some connection issues, so I'm trying to see how bad it is, if it's bad and stuff like that.
Feel death's pull.
Oh god, this is so bad.
Feel your life drain away. Life is so brittle.
Sound is good? Okay. But yeah, always happy to help. What upgrades did you get between yesterday and today? I guess we can sell 13k.
And I'd rather just not use a portal for this, but there's a tavern hideout. Who would have thought? Thank you. That is some big lag. Thank you. YouTube is the same. Yeah, it's rough everywhere. We're gonna do blue. We're going to do complete all the blues, and then we're going to do the last purple field.
Life is so brittle. I feel death's pull.
Okay, let's try this again. Please, connection, I beg of you. Fix yourself. Oh my god.
None resist my entropy. Life is so brutal.
I can't play like this though. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Feel your life fade away. Life is so brittle. None resist my entropy.
My mana is spent.
Mortal flesh is so fallible.
Oh god. Oh god.
None resist my entropy. Give yourself to the void. Life is so brittle. Give yourself to the void. Life is so brittle. Give yourself to the void.
Okay, I'm not gonna jinx it this time. I refused. I'm not going to. I will not talk about how it's performing, whether it is above satisfaction, above satisfactory or not. We're not talking about any of that. Oh god, it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't fucking matter.
None resist my entropy.
I'm tired of lag.
None resist my entropy.
So we're just going to chill. We'll give it like 5 minutes. Your Arcanist brand setup makes it so relaxed. Have it linked with Molten Shell, Offering, and Desecrates. Nice, nice. Desecrate Offering make it so that you really do not have to worry about manually cast, because I detest casting offering myself. If I can, it's going to, it's if I have any say in it, something is triggering it. Even if I have to press Arcanist Brand, I would rather do that than try to 2-button desecrate offering and then still have curse. Like, no. I want to go back in my map, but I'm just like, if I do it and this ends up lagging again. So far, so good. We are just going to go to the side and loot. Just to be safe. Because at this point... At this point, can't be too safe.
Life is so brittle.
Oh god, it's big lagging. Oh god. Yeah, that's resolved, but like if I was fighting in that moment, I would have died. Arcanist Brand. So the way Arcanist Brand and just brands in general work is you're going to throw a brand and it's going to attach to an enemy. While it is attached to the enemy, it's going to trigger, or it's going to do what it says it's going to do. Arcanist Brand triggers the socketed spells when it gets activated. So, and then now, if I were to go into a bit of more technicality with Arcanist Brand, Arcanist Brand has, or like other brands, has 2 sets of durations. If either of these durations fully runs out, it's going to expire. What the fuck? If either of these durations run out, it's going to expire. So when it's attached, it can stay attached for 3 seconds. I'm using my numbers in this case. 3 seconds, but when it is detached, it can stay for 5 seconds. So if I were to drop an Arcanist Brand right now, this Arcanist Brand is currently detached, so it will last 5 seconds. But if an enemy walks into range before it expires, then its new duration, which is the attached duration, starts ticking. Now, if that enemy dies before the 3 seconds are up, the Arcanist Brand would detach and still be there until the detached duration finishes, or it reattaches and the attached duration finishes. So long as it is up, it is going to activate every so often, and when it activates, it's triggering the next socketed triggered spell in sequence. So in this case, we have Arcanist Brand here. The reason it's here and not here is because I want the first thing Arcanist Brand ever triggers to be my curse, my Assassin's Mark. When after it triggers the mark, 0.64 seconds after, it's going to trigger Desecrate. And then 0.64 seconds after, it's going to trigger Spirit Offering. And if it still has duration after, it's going to repeat these 3 in that order. So in many cases, the order that you socket your Arcanist Brand, or triggers in general, matters. Because say Spirit Offering was here and Desecrate was here, it's going to try to trigger Spirit Offering, fail, then to trigger Desecrate, in the case where we don't have corpses, of course, then to trigger Desecrate and then Assassin's Mark before it comes back to try Spirit Offering again, and then succeeds because now curses are there. Okay, let's try fighting again.
Life is so brittle. Give yourself to the void. resist my entropy.
That's why I felt a bit delayed, probably. You definitely wanted to trigger your Desecrate first before your offering. So that even if you're in a single target fight where you do not have corpses, it triggers it. You will have corpses by the time it needs to eat those corpses. And only one brand can attach to a single enemy by default.
It's so brittle.
Only one brand can attach to an enemy by default, and if you take a certain node, you can make that 2 brands, with each brand doing its own thing. So with Arcanist brand, each brand is triggering the attached spells. How does one go about changing ascendancies? To change your ascendancies, what you need to do is you need to go run a lab. You need to run lab, and before you touch the ascendancy thing, you need to have 20 refund points. Each, is it 20? Yeah, each one is 5. So this is going to be 5, 10, 15, 20. So you need 40 refund points. So you then refund all the nodes, and then you touch the altar to ascend, and it will allow you to choose which one again. Pally, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Which it will allow you to change the ascendancy at that point. It doesn't matter which tier of lab it is. It could be the first lab, it could be Uber lab. It doesn't matter which one, so long as you finish the lab and you refund the points before you touch the ascension thing. People typically do the first lab because it's easiest, it's the shortest, all of that good stuff. You don't need anything else from changing an ascendancy after all.
Don't let him make a mess.
Mortal flesh is so fallible. Feel your life drain away. Mortal flesh is so fallible.
I don't know what the fuck is going on anymore. Things are just making paths for me and guiding where I'm running and yada yada.
Spent.
I'm just trying to stay at a healthy distance so nothing slams me very randomly.
Mortal flesh is so fallible.
Okay, let's focus on one, shall we?
Mortal flesh is so fallible.
So 2 of them have phased.
Give yourself to the void. Life is so brittle.
Alright, we made it through the lag-filled moments. And we actually finished the map, thank goodness. Connection looks fine now, but I think PoE is still having some spikes. Maybe I'll restart PoE and see if that helps. That's probably the best idea the best thing I can try right now. Yeah, sounds like a plan. And there's definitely still lag here. Alright, let's restart the game and let's hope that fixes stuff. Okay, PoE. I hope you're done now. While we're in between maps, I might as well see if I have enough. So you want how much? 180k, so that's 150 and then 30k. Thank you. So that puts us at 26 divines with a lot more to sell. In the meantime, let's also see how much this amounts to. It's not quite 18k. Why on earth is there risk? The fuck?
Why, hello.
Vivid 12k. I assume I'm currently the cheapest Vivid right now. Yeah, I am actually. Everything else is like 11,500. I've practically sold out my stock. $11,600. Let's be a bit ahead of the pack. 11,600. This never has risk to it, so I don't fully understand why there's risk now. And it just stays at 7% regardless. Is this a bug? These are all like these are 410s and 29s. I've sent 17 mil shipments and I never saw risk. The fuck? Let me just make sure because I do tend to screenshot my shipments. That does not include the risk. Okay. I don't have a screenshot of the risk. But I guess what I could do as well is I could just try to get some extra T10s real quick.
I've got plenty more, eager to sign up. Let me just grab the next few applications.
Around here,
I've got
far
plenty
too
more
much
eager
money
to sign
passes
up.
through hands that aren't mine.
I'm gonna do this until like just under 500k.
Here's the next set.
I didn't get shit for it.
That will do nicely. Welcome to the forge.
We honestly don't even need an upgrade here. Everything is already mined. They mine as quick as they smelt as quick as we can mine it. And I didn't get a single upgrade to farming or shipping.
Plenty more eager to sign up.
At this point,
Eager to sign up.
okay, you win. I'm done. All right. Do we run the last map? Do we risk it? I really hope my connection is fine now. I think it should be. PoE isn't even fluctuating as much as it was, so fingers crossed, I think. Fingers crossed. We're going to run this last map, which is the last one in the rotation of 20. We already have our next set of scarabs. So all the money we have, we can technically spend. I probably wouldn't, because I do need to buy T17s. I think that's the only thing I need to buy in the next set of farming maps. I need to buy more ziggurats.
Life is so brutal. These are lying straight away. None resist my entropy. Mortal flesh is so fallible. None resist my entropy.
What is this unique looking ritual?
It's so brutal.
Oh, monsters are massive. It looks exactly like a massive shrine, I guess. This is a Vaughn map, so it's very likely that I do not want to eat any big slams from Katarina.
Twin terrors. Feel your life drain away. Mortal flesh is so fallible.
So there was a synth boss here.
None resist my entropy.
This is the intelligence offering one.
Life is so brutal.
Kolamak,
Twin terrors.
arise,
None resist my entropy.
feel death's grip, more feed. Darkness walls.
Life is so brittle.
Your soul burns for me. Give your soul to me.
None resist my entropy. Twin terrors.
Kolamak, feel death's grip.
Life is so brittle.
Arise, my children.
Bruh, you were just about to phase. Pretty sure that's all the skulls. I mean, even if it isn't, I don't get one shot, so.
Give your soul to me.
None resist my entropy.
Kolamak,
Twin
feel
terrors.
death's grip. Arise, my children.
Reality? Yeah, I'll take devouring. Still money. Do I need to raise the price of this to like a divine? Because like
Mortal flesh is so fallible.
I don't want to leave my map.
Give yourself to the void.
If it's for a divine, I'll leave my map. But 100C, I could. But you never know with my current internet situation if it's going to let me. I don't want this up here.
So bristle. Give yourself to the void.
Oh, that's reduced recovery rate of life. We don't do that here.
Feel death's pull.
Who has Invuln Aura?
Mortal flesh is so
You?
fallible.
Yeah, you do. Oh shit, grands. I'll take it.
Feel death's pull.
Thank you for the grants.
Life is so brittle. None resist my entropy.
Realistically, I should probably mute T16 maps soon. Like, I have no reason to just keep seeing all T16 maps on my filter. Like I can see T17s farming perma T17s either.
Give yourself to the void.
So I just wouldn't see maps.
Mortal flesh is so fallible. None resist my entropy. Mortal flesh is so fallible. Give yourself to the void.
So when we're done, oh, that's where I'm going to. So I'll leave it unexplored. But when we're done with this map, we have some crafting to do. I want to craft it like better gloves, but I guess I'll also check if there are better gloves already pre-crafted and just see how much they'll cost. Though to be fair, I typically like crafting my stuff, but we'll see. It could be cheaper.
Life is so brittle.
There's something with vulnerability aura here, and it's kind of in this corner, I think.
None resist my entropy. Mortal flesh is so fallible.
Going to fully charge this because we got the damage and the defenses, of course. Hopefully, this is a vulnerability map, so we'll see. Yeah, we do. We're chilling. Could you help me with a bench craft T1 flat armor energy belt craft? Sure.
It is so brittle.
Send me a message in game. Who the hell is jumping around?
Feel your life drain away.
And why are you not dying? What's happening here? Okay, One is dead. Why is this one not dead? Okay, cool. Dead. Send me a message in game and I will do it once I'm done with this map. You may or may not have to remind me though.
Feel your life drain away. Mortal flesh is so fallible.
Oh, same as my stream name. Just add Deconic is fine. We're going to do the purples first, into the blues, into the yellows.
Don't resist my entry. Mortal flesh is so fallible.
I see your name is very mustache inspired.
Life is so brittle. Give yourself to the void. Don't resist my entropy.
His videos, I like his videos as well. Can't even fault you. Bosnian Dream, thank you for the follow. How you doing and welcome.
Mortal flesh is so fallible. Feel your life drain away.
Next up, we do the blues, and then we round up with the yellow. His ceremony for his dead. This was during Settlers, right?
Life is so brittle.
His butler died. Good. Follow you on YouTube, but never got on Twitch. Nice recent video on that zombie dagger. Yeah, we got very. I want to say we got very lucky
My entropy.
in that we were able to get the dagger so quickly. Like I went in fully expecting to not have enough currency for the entirety of the crafts,
Now resist my entropy.
but with only one recom fail, it was like I couldn't believe it. Now, granted, I started liquidating towards the end because I was actually running out of currency. But I was like, at that point when I had gotten that far, I was determined into we getting the final result.
Give yourself to the void.
I will try to make a video on the recom steps specifically and trying to break down how to recom the dagger. That is something I want to do before moving on to like other games,
Feel your
as well as of course a build guide for this setup.
life is so brittle.
What are you, why are you not, what? I'm trying to read his mods and he just keeps jumping around. That is not the one that had the bubble. Where is the bubble guy? He's dead? How did he die so quick? But yeah, thank you for following on Twitch as well. Appreciate it.
Life is so brittle.
Oh my god, I can't see shit.
Give yourself to the void.
Let's focus on the Crush Claw because the Crush Claw is the one that can actually just straight up burst me.
Mortal flesh is
Yeah.
fallible.
The T4s, I mean, they can kill me, but like the odds of that happening are not the greatest. Did you level as Baron Zombie? Yes and no. So right from campaign, I twinked, so I was using double bitter dream. I had a Baron, but I wasn't really strength stacking. I didn't strength stack until end of campaign.
Feel your life drain away.
I didn't strength stack until end of campaign, and at that point, my goodness.
Give yourself to the void.
And I wasn't at 1k strength for a while. So like I used Baron, but
Life is so brittle.
it wasn't optimal at the time. I just didn't want to use any other helmets in the meantime. But I have a twink POB I put together when I was planning to level the character, but it's literally just like
Give yourself to the void.
it's like, let's see if I can get it. It's double triad grip. It's double triad grip. It is seed breath, Alberon's warpath. I said double bitter dream rather than 4 green triad grip. Basically, full sending every minion doing cold damage, giving them some flat damage from the amulets, and then going zoom answer essentially with zombies in one bitter dream and specters in the other. The specters in question were crush claws, and then I think if I had feeding frenzy in crush claw until I had aggressive from the ascendancy. Then this guy I used Alberon's warpath so I could have permanent skeletons, and then a stone golem for the regen until I had leech. Basically that was kind of the idea there. I don't want to leave. Oh god, what's happening? Am I the cheapest? I guess I am. What do I think about strength stacking runic skeletons? I've heard mixed things about them, in that some people believe their passive isn't working and some people believe it is. If their passive is working, they should be pretty good. My biggest qualm with them is if you're running zombies, then you get access to leech. So running Wraith Lord is very, very iffy on them right now, simply because you have no leech source. And not to mention, you'd still want Baron because that's where half of the strength comes from. So having your helmets, actually no, you'd run Wraith Lord and just give them half of your strength, so you could get 8 of them. If you were to go a hybrid zombie spectre setup, that would probably be ideal. That way you can still use Baron, have some leech, but DPS wise, you're not much better than, you're not really better than 11,600. Thank you. But DPS wise, you're not really doing better than, for example, just going straight up full into zombies with Baron. And I tried, I mean, granted, I half-ass POB'd the strength stacking. I half-ass POB'd the strength stacking. Runic skeletons, but like overall, when I put them into my POB, I think we ended up at around the same level of DPS, even dropping the support specters, but it was slightly less. But the difference is with the support specters, you have defensive support specters in there, like the Warlord and the Guardian Turtle. So like you're dropping all of that defensive scaling for a net even amount of DPS. It just didn't seem worth it. Now, if we were dropping it for like, I don't know, 20% more damage, I could consider it, right? That would make it very tempting. And keep in mind, this is POB assuming it's working. If it isn't working, then it's definitely worth it. But if it is, then it becomes borderline. Is it worth it? Is it not? And then, do you get what I mean? It's kind of just there. Aberrons, I can't really ever drop. 18% strength is too good. I mean, fair. However, have you seen my boots? My boots have 12%. So I'm only missing out on 6%. But when you start getting to the higher points in your strength stacking, flat strength is worth a lot more than increased strength, because you do have increased strength from many different sources. Typically, like you could get increased strength from amulet. I'm not going to increase strength because levels does more for damage. But if you were, then you could get increased strength from here. You could get increased strength from the tree. There's actually a number of spots for increased strength. Flat strength is very good. Flat strength, you can get 8% here. You can get another 5% here. This is one of those places where you always want to check which is more valuable for your build, the +5 per mastery or increased attributes. Yeah, but your boots are not affordable in 3 months. Oh, my boots were expensive, so I wouldn't even fault you there. This was expensive and I spent more than I should have. There's a much cheaper way to get these boots than what I did, but overall these boots should cost you a minimum of like 20-30 divines, maybe 20, but that is without the strength suffix. If you really want to like kind of, I'm in min-max for T1 strength. What about +2 zombies and 38% strength? The amulets, Eyes of the Great Wolf. +3 to levels out DPS that by quite a bit. All the same. Like let's open my POB real quick. This is the end game POB, currently sitting at this is defensive setup, DPS setup. 60, let's say 60 mil, right? If we were to switch this for the Eyes of the Great Wolf, death attunement doesn't affect DPS, all the same. If we were to switch this, big DPS loss, because in this case, strength is a nice DPS multi, and maybe if I were to, and keep in mind we do +2 here, so it's not insane, but yeah. It's like almost a 6 mil ish DPS loss, maybe a bit more. What was I about to say? Strength is a nice multiplier, and if we were to get one, like if it took us over the threshold of 1500, then we would have like, it'd be more competitive. But unless you're crossing that threshold, it's not. It's really not. But like, Eyes of the Great Wolf is definitely better than the strength stacking amulet, because the strength, actually no, the strength stacking amulet actually takes us over the 1500 strength mark for the 3 extra zombies. So I guess this guy would be your best bet. This guy would be your best bet, and this should not be too expensive. Basically, to craft this, all you need is to roll for get elevated magic of either attributes or strength, which means trying to clear, like you get elevate. It means getting elevated of 1 and then trying to clear the other modifiers on it to try to get into a magic item, so that you can then lock, like beastcraft in a like lock into an awakener orb to make sure you have cleanables, like a free suffix spot. When you have that free suffix spot, you just You either augment, actually no, this is, you can't augment. You either reforge life or use suffixes cannot be changed with the full suffixes, so can have up to, then suffix can be changed into a veiled orb to get the max life, and then you benchcraft strength and slam, exalt slam the last affix. And that's how you would do, or the last two affixes. I wouldn't do the last two, I'd maybe do one more. But that's kind of how that would go about. But either way, none of these still competes with Replica Dragonfang because, well, the 3 levels give a lot of damage, but not only does it give a lot of damage, it also gives a lot of zombie survivability. So there's a lot of benefit in going Replica Dragonfang over strength stacking amulet. Without Spectre? Oh, if you were to go for my boots, you would get Spectres. Oh yeah, you would get Spectres and increased strength. And then if you wanted to be cheap about it, you would lose the flat strength. But the Spectre and increased strength are the cheap parts. Like they aren't that expensive. What you would do to get them is you would buy one base that is Elder. You would spam, let's say, you spam ults on the Elder base until you got +1 to level of Race Spectre. Then once you have your ult, you try to make it, clean it, make sure it's the only affix there. Then once you have your +1 level of all Spectre magic item, that's the only affix, you're going to Beastcraft meta mod, which would give you suffixes cannot be changed. Then you imprint this so you can always come back to this setting. So once you've imprinted, you have a bunch of suffixes can be changed, +1 Race Spectre boots. You're going to regal it. You're going to hope you get an elevated prefix. If you get a prefix, rather, an influence prefix or not, let's say it's not, because it most likely wouldn't be influenced. What you're going to do here is you're going to, because you already have suffixes can't be changed, you're going to reforge. This is Elder, so you reforge Chaos if the suffixes are full, and if not, you reforge Influence. Reforge Influence is more expensive, but it guarantees you get that second influence. Then you're going to throw an Orb of Dominance on the base. If you win, it's a 50-50 if you hit +2 or the random other influence mod you have. Actually, this would just be a lot better if I showed you guys, like I actually put a visual presentation. So let's do that. That should be better than talking your ear off. The cheapest way you can make this, if you don't care about getting flat strength on your boots, is you get 2 pair of boots. Let's duplicate this. The first pair of boots are your final base. These guys, let's say it's Elder, right? So we're just going to make this into Elder. Oh wait, there isn't Elder. Oh my god, where is Elder? Can I not make it Elder? Okay, you know how we do this? Restart. We go in here and we do this. Now it's an Elder item. It doesn't matter. So you're basically going to alt spam this until you have +1 to level of socketed suffix. Not +1 level of all Race Spectre gems. This guy. You have this. Then you're going to regal this. It's going to give you whatever. You're going to go suffixes cannot be changed benchcraft. It's a prefix. Suffixes cannot be changed. And you can beastcraft this, by the way, if your suffixes are full. If not, you can't. Then you're going to reforge influence. This will give you a random influence prefix modifier. Now we have this elder mod and we have this elder mod. Now orb of dominance, what you're going to throw an orb of dominance on this orb will eat one of your influence modifiers and elevate the other. Now you want it to eat this guy and elevate this one, but it could do the other way around. So you do that, you failed, you go back into what you're going to do at this point is you're going to scour, transmute, and then roll again until you have the same, until you get your +1 again, and then you regal into getting this again. Either way, you're going to repeat that until you get your +2 level of specters. From the moment you get your +2 level of specters, you're going to do the same thing for a, what was this, a hunter base. But for the hunter base, you're looking for % increased strength. So in this case, create a new item. The base of this one doesn't matter because we're going to be destroying it. So it can literally be anything. It could be evasion base, it could be strength dex, it could be anything. We're destroying this one. Then we're going to put in a hunter mod to make, or we buy a hunter elevated mod or elevated exalted orb, and we do that. Now it's a hunter item. We're going to scour, transmute, and then alt spam until we get % increased strength T1. Make sure it's not T2, it's T1, which is 9 to 10%. Once you have this, is the same process. You regal. If you do not get anything good, you're going to do suffixes can't be changed. And by good, I mean if you don't get another influence mod, you go suffixes can't be changed. And for this guy, we can actually be cheap about it and just reforge attack. This hunter, I believe, has an attack mod, which is the only attack mod available. So you're going to get your influence mod. So it's bleeding. So you get your influence mod. And this is, I think, so long as you don't have open, so long as your suffixes aren't full. Now you have bleeding, you're going to orb of dominance it and pray. You lost it, you redo the whole process again until you do this and you hit strength. Now you have elevated strength and you have elevated race specters. Now you're going to awakener orbit. Let's export it. Control C, I think, is how it works here. You're going to click Awakener Orb, and you're going to click on the base you're destroying first. Then you click on this base second, and now you should have an Elder Hunter item with +2 and increased strength. Now, if you really wanted to, this was where I went for. I cleaned up. I was locking to make sure I wouldn't fill up suffixes. But it's, if you don't have the currency for that, then you just do this and pray you have an open suffix. If you do, then good. If you don't, it's not the end of the world. Like this, you just go up. All you do here is you beastcraft meta mod, which would put suffixes and be changed for cheap if suffixes are full. If suffixes are not full, then you profit. But like, suffixes cannot be changed. And then all you have to do here is reforge speed. You reforge speed because at this step, your item can fill up in prefixes. And if it fills up in prefixes, it's kind of done. You can't do anything about it. So if you reforge life and you miss and you don't get movement speed, you're going to feel very shitty. So then you get movement speed by reforging speed, and you have your movement speed, and you have this. You wouldn't have the flat strength, but you have something to work with. And then from here, you can just benchcraft life. And you're chilling. Now, if you wanted to go for benchcrafted strength, there's an extra step you would have to do before the Awakener Orb. And that is, you would have to clean your final base, your receiver base. You have to take that to magic and have it be the only mod on the item. And once it's the only mod on the item, you can actually, it doesn't matter if it's the only mod on the item, so long as it's the only suffix. Then your suffixes can be changed, scour, so it becomes a magic item with +2. And then from this point on, you're going to Hinekora lock the magic item, and then just use Awakener Orb on the donor base and just hover on the Hinekora locked item. Now, if you see an open suffix and an open prefix, you click it. If you don't, you use a Chrome to eat the lock and then relock it and try again until you see an open suffix and open prefix. In which case, once you have your open suffix and open prefix, what you would then go ahead and do is you'd go can have up to fill out the suffixes. Then you'd craft suffixes cannot be changed. And then you would reforge speed. And if you were happy with that, that would be it. If you wanted to retry, you just recraft suffix cannot be changed, reforge speed until how are you getting worse? Until you get like a satisfactory movement speed level. Like that. If at any point you fill out your prefixes, your item is done. But if like this, you got lucky and you got like a 35% or whatever and you still have prefixes left, what you could go ahead and do if you had currency, is suffixes can be changed and then 50-50 veiled mod. And you pray it hits the suffix cannot be changed. It did not, so oh well. Great and easy explanation. Your stream should stay up on YouTube, right? Yes, my stream still up on YouTube. For +2. So I already have a YouTube video on crafting, but it was for a separate boot. So what I will do, this is probably the way I'm going to approach this. I'm going to make a guide video for the build, and then I'll make a crafting video. And in that crafting video, I will timestamp the different items that this build uses that you would have to craft. I'm going to include the boots. What does that craft? The weapon. And the chest piece. Yeah, the chest piece. These are the 3 big items that I think you will need to craft because you need very specific things. But other than that, yeah, I think that should be enough. Last time I made one, it was for my Settlers of Kalgor Race Spectre build. This would be a gold craft for the league. All right, sounds good. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward how to get it. All you need is the currency for A. You just need 1 Awakener Orb. B, you need some imprints to actually get a +2 Magic Race Spectre base. And you need the beast for locking those magic bases if you're going for crafted strengths. Because at the end of all of this, you have this. You're going to remove crafted modifiers. You're going to craft, I think, what, mana? Block mana. Unveil movement speed. Now you have movement speed. And now you're going to just bench craft strength. You're going to bench craft 30 strength, which should be pretty decent. And then you're just going to exalt, slam, and pray you hit life. You got some life. And this would be a final item. It wouldn't be as good as what we currently have, but this is a much cheaper item. It's like, price-wise, this is much cheaper and easier to get. Oh, you have magic +2 specters. Oh shit, are you crafting right now? But yeah, this is the easiest way to get it and the cheapest. Then if you wanted to like go ham like I did, what I did to get my strength suffix was at this step, we're going to, I think it was around after before the Awakener Orb. At this step, once I had my magic +2 Spectre, I just kept Hinekora locking
and using Awakener orbs. I just tried 2 days before. Oh. So you do have, so you started the process, but you haven't completed it. So yeah, at this step before you Awakener orb, what I did was I was using the Beastcraft for locking, and I was checking the resulting base to see if it had strength suffix. I was shooting for strength suffix, not T1, but like any strength suffix that was going to be more than crafted suffix. So anything 30 plus I was going for. And then I got T1 after like 19, like on my 19th lock, I think I was when I got T1. Then once I had that, I reforged speed, and that gave me T1 speed. That gave me T1 speed and T5 life. I got in that reforge, I got T5 life as well. So I just bench crafted the chosen mod and called it a day. Because I mean, with this, I'm getting 79 life from this 30% move speed, and then +2 strength. Oh, you didn't know how to craft it. So would you say right now you understand how to craft from what I explained? Or is there any step you are not completely clear on? The beautiful thing about having those magic +2 specters is so long as you remember to Hinekra lock it before you do anything, you can't break it, because you will literally see, you will see what you need, what you're going to get before you actually click it. Whereas before with like base settlers beast prices, you would just 50-50 the Awakener orb, and if you filled out the suffixes and you were really going for that, then you just had to start again, and that always just felt very, very meh. And because Awakener orbs are the expensive piece, you actually cut down on a lot of the cost, because like each lock attempt is one each divines, but an Awakener orb is 7. So literally it takes 7 lock attempts before you get to the cost of 1 Awakener orb attempt. So it's so much cheaper. Totally understand. Glad I could help. And then, so that's how you'd get your boots. For your weapon, it's a bunch of recombination. This was actually pretty straightforward, the chest piece. More straightforward than I expected. And the reason being was, how did I get this? I recommed a +1 Spectre chest piece that had a low roll life and nothing else for prefixes. I recommed that, was in random base, by the way. And I got a royal plate that had T1 life, and I smashed them together. And I got lucky enough that I picked the life, the T1 life, and the +1 specters on the royal plate. And from there, I used can have up to 3. I bench crafted increase max life to block the free prefix, and I reforged Fizz until I got a good. And every single time I would reforge Fizz. I think I did it twice before I got 8%. I got very lucky on that one, but I would reforge Fizz. If you reforge Fizz with open prefixes, or suffixes rather, you are guaranteed PDR, but the tier is random, or not random, but weighted. But I got pretty lucky and I got 8% on my second try, and from that point on, I had 2 open suffixes and 1 open prefix. So like, can have up to, put the prefix, put the suffix, we're good to go. Very straightforward crafts. The recomb was the lucky part in this, because like I tried recombing quite a few +2s. I still have some leftover bases from the attempts, let's say. These guys were going to be recombed into other +1 Spectre bases. And keep in mind, for this guy, the initial plan was to fracture +1 specters. That was the initial plan. I was trying to fracture +1 specter on a royal chest, on a royal plate base, I filled one fracture, and then this was going to be the second fracture, but I looked at the mods. It was max life was +1 Spectre, and then 2 mods I didn't care about. And I told myself, I can just craft with this. Like, I could just go ahead without fracturing and I'd be fine. So I did. So I just did. It was 2 suffixes I didn't care about, and I knew that if I threw that fracture, even though I don't mind life and +1 Spectre, those are the ideal hits, with my luck, it's going to hit something else. And that will make it so I have to do this again. And this is T1 life. Am I really going to take that chance? And the answer to that was just no, I'm not. I don't want to. But yeah, that was how I did it. The recomp is actually pretty deterministic in that if you pick the mods, if you pick the +1 Spectre basis properly, and you pick the Royal Plate basis properly, you have a very decent chance of keeping your +1 Spectres. Now it's still 50-50 which base it picks, but ideally you would want it to pick the Royal Plate. So that is the 50-50 part, but the +1 Spectres is pretty deterministic. Now, if you're wondering what to look for in bases, you want to pick a +1 Spectre base. Doesn't matter the base type, but so long as it has a craftable or rollable mod, and by rollable I mean it has to be a mod that can naturally roll or be bench crafted on the Royal Plates. So think flat life. That is a good recomp target. If it's only flat life and +1 Spectres. You don't care about suffixes, by the way, just prefixes. If it's life and +1 Spectre, that's nice. If it's evasion and ES, that's fine. If it's anything hybrid with stun and block recovery, no. Unless it's just like armor, stun, and block recovery, no. The reason being, if it's armor, if it's like evasion, ES, stun, block recovery, it is not bench craftable, so you can't match it on the arm on this base, and it makes the recomp a whole lot more RNG. So you're looking for something that has, let's say, life, or it has increased armor evasion, no stun, block recovery. It's important to not have that, because that would make it so you can't deterministically recomp. You're looking for mana. Mana is bench craftable. What else is bench craftable? Any mod you can bench craft or naturally roll is what you're looking for on the Royal Plate. And then once you have a base that either has 2 of those type of mods with your +1 Spectres, or just 1 with your +1 Spectres, you match the other mod on your Royal Plates that you're trying to recomp with. And in this case, it could be T1 life if you had life and +1 Spectres, or if it's mana, you just benchcraft mana and you make sure your prefixes are empty other than whatever you're intentionally putting there. You have to be very intentional about your prefixes. But once you recomp these 2 together, there is a higher chance that you keep your +1 Spectres than not. And the main RNG is which base it picks. Sometimes you lose your +1 Spectres, it is what it is. If you're trying to go for like T1 life, it's still RNG. It still is. But yeah, that's how you would go about changing the base on the +1 Spectres. And of course, I don't know if this affects it, but I always just make sure I'm on a max road. By the way, was I not supposed to invite you for something? I was supposed to benchcraft something for you. Should have reminded me. I completely forgot. Completely. What was I saying? Oh, you invited me to your hideout? I can't benchcraft in your hideout. Has to be mine. They give me a tome? Why? I don't do Sanctum. You wanted me to benchcraft something. What do you want me to benchcraft?
wrong trade. Okay. It was something along the lines of T1 flat armor and energy shield. So that is... There's armor evasion, there's evasion. Oh, I don't have it. Wait, who is this from? I don't have it. I guess in all my Katarina, I never got that. How? Because I did Katarina for so long. So I don't have damage, I don't have crit chance while focused. I don't have armor ES. So you just have to keep unveiling belts. This is Leo. I don't know how I never got it, but do I have any more modifiers like this? Mana and damage taken as mana. It looks like I have a bunch of them. Unveiling weapons, unveiling body armor. These either have to be very rare. I mean, flask, I can do that anytime. But these have to either be very rare, because like for the way I treat my unveils is I'm just going to be unveiling everything I see until I go like a very extended period of time without seeing a new unveil, and then I turn off like the most common ones, and so I'm only focusing on like the people who have special unveils. And then eventually when I stop seeing new unveils for another extended period of time, the archives and the caverns. Probably from campaign. The archives, is this Siosa zone? I guess I'll never know. It's not important anyways. Oh, you have it? Nice, nice. There you go. All right, is there any other crafts you guys would like to know how I did before I end stream for the day? Tomorrow is gonna be a longer stream, so I want to take it a bit slower now, and then I'll be on for most of tomorrow. Why are my blues not selling? 13k is down here. This okay. 13,100 then. Oh. And then these are 600s. Let's buy some let's buy my next set of T17s while I'm at it. Oh, you're welcome. And if you have any questions with I should remove this. We're no longer lagging, thankfully. Yo, the lag was driving me nuts. But yeah, if you have any questions in like with any of those steps, or you're not sure how to proceed, let me know. Divines for ziggurats. This person has 3 to 1, so we're going to go for 21 for 7. Do I have a spare ziggurat that I just have not used? No, I do not. But this person would give me 21. I mean, it's 21 for 7. I can't even complain. Make sure none of them are corrupted. Okay. Thank you. All right, Twitch ads have started. So this is as good a point as any to end before you guys have to sit through an ad. But anyways, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate y'all. I will be back tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow afternoon, much earlier than I stream during the weekdays. And I will be on for much longer than today. But anyways, till then, have a good night.